July 2025. Millions are tuning into America's Got Talent, cheering for their favorite performers. But behind the curtains, something unusual was happening with one contestant the cameras barely followed. Melnick Virgolino didn't just walk onto that stage with a voice. She walked in with a story the producers didn't want you to know. She wasn't highlighted in the promos. Judges said little. And yet, backstage, people were whispering her name. Who was she? Why was her segment cut short? And what happened after she left the show? What if I told you the most powerful story of that season never aired, and the truth about Bey has more to do with courage, silence, and a decision that could have changed her life forever? Melnick Virgolino is a 10-year-old guitar prodigy from New York City who has captured the attention of audiences around the world with his energetic performances, confidence beyond his years, and raw musical talent. From the outside, he seems like just another gifted child musician, but his story is far more compelling. Bey grew up in a supportive household where music wasn't just encouraged, it was celebrated. His parents, especially his father, played a key role in nurturing his love for guitar. By age 2, Bey had already developed an obsession with guitars. While most toddlers were still discovering toys, Bey was staring at guitars on TV and begging to strum anything with strings. This early fascination eventually led him to formal lessons by the age of 5, setting the stage for his extraordinary journey. His upbringing was shaped not only by a love for music, but also by the vibrant culture of New York. Surrounded by diverse styles, street performers, live shows, and a rich musical scene, Bey had constant exposure to sounds that fueled his curiosity. One of his earliest influences was Slash, the legendary guitarist of Guns N' Roses. Bey has spoken in interviews about how watching Slash on screen made him want to become a guitarist. That desire grew stronger every day, especially as his technical skills improved and he began experimenting with blues scales and rock solos. While most children his age were listening to pop music, Bey was already diving deep into classic rock and blues, genres that many young musicians don't explore until much later. What truly sets Bey apart, even more than his natural talent, is his discipline and drive. According to his family, Bey practices regularly and never has to be pushed to play. He genuinely enjoys rehearsing and learning new pieces, which is rare for someone so young. He often studies the works of older guitarists and breaks them down note by note. Whether it's watching old concert footage or reading about music theory, Bey approaches learning like a true student of the craft. This serious dedication at such a young age is part of why his performances feel so authentic. He's not just playing notes, he's telling stories through his instrument. Stories he's learned and felt through countless hours of practice. Despite being just a kid, Bey has already experienced the thrill of live performance. He's played at local venues in New York, including the Bitter End, a legendary club that has seen the rise of many artists. There, Bey didn't just cover other people's music, he also began performing his own original material. This experience gave him confidence and stage presence that became obvious when he finally stepped onto the America's Got Talent stage. It also introduced him to the challenges of live performance, timing, nerves, sound issues, but Bey handled these like a professional. He isn't just a kid who got lucky on a TV show, he's someone who's been working behind the scenes for years, building his reputation and refining his craft. Bey's personal life outside music is kept relatively private, likely due to his young age. However, his family appears extremely close and protective, with both parents fully involved in his musical journey. His mom and dad often serve as his road crew, carrying gear, helping with sound checks, and making sure he's mentally prepared. Interviews and articles reveal that they don't pressure him, they simply support him. Bey's story is about talent, yes, but also about community and family. Without a strong foundation at home, even the most gifted child can burn out. Bey is thriving because his family lets him grow at his own pace while giving him all the tools to succeed. That kind of support is something America's Got Talent didn't fully show, but it's the quiet backbone of his incredible rise. Melnick Virgolino's guitar playing is more than just flashy solos or youthful enthusiasm. It's rooted in deep musical influence and refined style that most professional guitarists twice his age struggle to master. One of Bey's earliest and most consistent inspirations is the legendary guitarist Slash, best known for his work with Guns N' Roses. Slash is not only famous for his top hat and curly hair image, but for his emotional, blues-inspired guitar solos. Bey has said in interviews that it was watching Slash perform that made him want to pick up a guitar. That influence is clearly visible in Bey's playing. He favors bending notes for emotion. He uses pentatonic scales with confidence, and he understands the value of silence and space in a solo. He's not just mimicking riffs, he's absorbing the language of rock and blues. His style combines the raw energy of rock with the expressive soul of blues. That fusion is what makes his performances stand out. Unlike many child musicians who tend to rely on speed and tricks, Bey slows down and leans into the feeling of the music. This approach, especially in his cover of Are You Gonna Go My Way by Lenny Kravitz on America's Got Talent, made people sit up and take notice. He hit every note with intention and didn't just rush through the piece. Instead, he played it like someone who understood what the song meant. There's power in that kind of emotional maturity, especially in a kid who hasn't even hit his teenage years. Blues is often about storytelling, about expressing hardship and triumph through guitar. Bey somehow captures that even though he's still at the beginning of his own story. In addition to Slash, Bey has been inspired by a variety of guitar greats. Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimmy Page, and Eric Clapton are all names that come up in conversations about his playing style. You can hear snippets of each in his phrasing, but Bey always adds his own twist. For instance, he might use a Hendrix-style chord voicing, then slide into a modern rock riff with full confidence. This blend of old-school inspiration and modern attitude gives Bey a signature sound. That's something very few kids, or even adults, ever develop. His tone is thick, gritty, and deliberate. Whether he's using distortion for a rock anthem or a clean tone for a blues jam, Bey knows exactly how to tweak his sound to fit the mood of the piece. It's also important to note that Bey doesn't just focus on guitar technique. He sings while playing, which adds a layer of complexity to his act. Singing and playing guitar simultaneously, especially at his level, is extremely challenging. But Bey pulls it off like he's been doing it for decades. This dual threat ability puts him in a rare category. It also suggests he has a good sense of rhythm and phrasing, skills that typically take years to build. Bey also engages with his audience while performing, whether it's through facial expressions, movement, or eye contact. That stage awareness gives him charisma that draws people in, whether they're in the room or watching through a screen. Overall, Bey Melnick Virgolino's influences have shaped him, but they don't define him. He has taken the best elements of his musical heroes and used them to create a sound that is both familiar and fresh. That's why he's not just a good kid guitarist, he's a good guitarist, period. His mix of bluesy emotion, rock power, and a surprisingly deep sense of musical identity makes him an artist to watch. As he continues to grow, it will be fascinating to see how these influences evolve. Will he stick to classic rock? Will he explore jazz, funk, or metal? No matter the direction, Bey's artistic foundation is solid, and that's what will keep him ahead of the game. When Bey Melnick Virgolino steps onto a stage, one of the first things audiences notice, besides his confident presence, is the sheer size of the guitar he plays. Bey's instrument of choice during his America's Got Talent audition was a PRS SE DGT, a full-size guitar nearly as tall as he is. PRS, Paul Reed Smith. Guitars are known for their elite build quality, used by professionals like Carlos Santana, Mark Tremonti, and David Grissom, the DGT model's namesake. These guitars aren't toys or beginner models, they're serious instruments, and the fact that Bey plays one with such skill says a lot about his technical ability. The guitar's wide neck, dual humbuckers, and high-output pickups are not typically suited to smaller hands. Yet Bey navigates the fretboard like it's second nature, a sign of hours of intense practice. The PRS SE DGT model he plays features a double cutaway mahogany body, rosewood fingerboard, and coil-splitting tone knobs, giving it a wide tonal range. This lets Bey move easily between warm, bluesy licks and sharp, crunchy rock riffs, all with just a twist of the knob or flick of a pickup selector. It's this kind of technical versatility that makes Bey sound far older than his age. He isn't locked into one tone or style. Whether he's channeling the thick sound of 1970s hard rock or dialing it back to soft, bluesy bends, he gets what he needs from his gear. A lot of guitarists spend years chasing their sound, but Bay already seems to know what kind of tone he wants and how to achieve it. Bay also uses professional-level amplification and effects gear, although exact details haven't been publicly listed. What's clear from his performance tone is that he likely runs through a quality amp, possibly a tube amplifier, to get that rich, saturated sound. His distortion is never too harsh. It has the warmth and sustain of classic overdrive, rather than the buzz of cheaper digital setups. His clean tone, when showcased, has clarity and bite, suggesting good EQ control and possibly onboard compression. These technical choices show that Bay, or someone on his team, has developed a strong understanding of tone sculpting, something even seasoned musicians often struggle with. And it's not just about owning expensive gear, it's about knowing how to use it. Bay clearly does. What's also remarkable is Bay's comfort in switching between lead and rhythm roles. In most rock and blues settings, a guitarist either plays lead, solos, licks, or rhythm, chords, backing patterns. Bay does both. During his AGT performance, he not only nailed the solo sections but also held down the groove with sharp strumming and chord changes when he wasn't shredding. That means his technical skills aren't just about showboating, they serve the song. That's a sign of musical maturity. His chord choices, finger positions, and transitions are clean and fluid. You can tell he understands music not just as a performer, but as a builder of sound. He's crafting a performance with structure and dynamics, not just showing off. Another underrated aspect of Bay's technical setup is how he adapts physically. His hands are smaller than the average adult player's, yet he plays on a guitar designed for grown-ups. That requires strength, flexibility, and clever hand positioning. He likely uses alternate fingerings and stretches to accommodate his frame, something only experienced players usually learn. Bay's gear isn't scaled down for kids. He's scaled himself up to meet the demands of professional equipment. That alone is astonishing. While America's Got Talent highlighted his showmanship and charm, they didn't dig into this deeper technical story, a 10-year-old adapting his body, mastering full-sized gear, and delivering pro-level tone with control and clarity. That kind of detail matters, and it shows he's not just a prodigy, he's a technician. Melnick Virgolino made his America's Got Talent debut in one of the most memorable auditions of the season. Dressed in rockstar style and holding his full-sized PRS guitar, he confidently walked onto the stage and introduced himself as a 10-year-old guitarist and singer from New York City. From the very start, the crowd and judges were intrigued. But what followed wasn't just a cute performance from a kid, it was a full-on rock show. Bay chose to perform Are You Gonna Go My Way by Lenny Kravitz, a high-energy, guitar-driven anthem that demands both vocal and instrumental skill. The moment he hit the first chords, the audience lit up. His guitar tone was gritty and alive, and he played with flair, walking across the stage like someone born to perform. What set Bay's performance apart was the level of musical control and showmanship he displayed. He didn't just stand in one spot and strum. He moved with the music, made eye contact with the crowd, and threw in classic rock poses, all while staying perfectly in time. He handled transitions between verse, chorus, and instrumental breaks like a seasoned pro. His fingers danced across the fretboard with confidence, and when it came time for the solo, Bay delivered it with power and precision. Most impressively, he sang while playing, and not once did his rhythm falter. For anyone who has tried to sing and play guitar at the same time, they know how hard that is, especially for complex songs like this. Bay nailed it. What television audiences may not have noticed was just how difficult the arrangement was. Are You Gonna Go My Way isn't a song designed for beginners. It features syncopated rhythms, layered riffs, and a solo section that requires technical finesse. Bay not only played the riffs correctly, he played them with attitude. He gave each note personality, adding subtle bends, slides, and emphasis to make the song come alive. His version wasn't just a copy, it was a performance with heart. He gave the crowd a show, not just a demonstration. That's a skill many adult musicians still struggle with. the ability to translate music into emotion and movement. The judges were clearly blown away. Howie Mandel told Bay he had the energy of a real rock star. Sofia Vergara called him one of the coolest kids she had ever seen. Mel B said she thought even Lenny Kravitz would be proud of the performance. And Simon Cowell, usually the toughest to impress, seemed visibly touched, not only by Bay's talent, but also by how supportive Bay's parents were. Simon, as a father himself, said the joy Bay brought to his family was moving to see. It was clear the judges weren't just impressed, they were emotionally invested. Bay didn't receive a golden buzzer, but he won over the room in a way that no button could truly capture. What America's Got Talent didn't fully show is the depth of preparation that went into that performance. Viewers saw a short, edited clip, but behind the scenes, Bay likely spent weeks rehearsing his vocals and guitar together, adjusting tone settings, and working on transitions with the show's production team. His ability to perform at that level under pressure on national television with cameras rolling and lights flashing is incredible. Most adults freeze in those conditions. Bay thrived. And that's what makes his AGT performance so special. It wasn't just talent. It was talent meeting preparation, heart, and courage. When Melnick Virgolino finished his performance on America's Got Talent, the energy in the room was electric. The crowd erupted into applause, many people on their feet, while the judges sat momentarily stunned by what they had just witnessed. It wasn't just the technical skill or the song choice that left an impression. It was Bay's total command of the stage and the pure joy he brought into the room. Each of the 4 judges gave unique and telling reactions, and when viewed closely, these responses said a lot more than just words of praise. They showed that Bay had crossed a threshold that few young performers ever do. He had made them believe in his potential as a real artist. Howie Mandel was the first to speak, and he didn't hold back. He called Bay a real rock star, emphasizing that Bay wasn't just playing music, he was embodying it. Howie has seen countless kid performers on the show over the years, but his response to Bay felt more sincere than usual. He noted Bay's charisma, guitar skills, and especially his confidence. Howie tends to look at contestants from an entertainment industry point of view, and his approval hinted that he saw commercial potential in Bay, not just as a performer, but as a marketable young artist with a future beyond the show. Sofia Vergara was clearly smitten by Bay's charm. She called him one of the coolest kids she had ever seen on the AGT stage. Her reaction wasn't just about his performance, but about his presence. Sofia tends to gravitate toward acts that have personality and audience appeal, and Bay had both. Her face lit up throughout his performance, and when he interacted with her during the judge Q&A, she responded like someone genuinely impressed, not just entertained. She seemed to see Bay as more than a child act. To her, he came across as a young star who knew exactly what he was doing. Mel B, who had recently returned to the judges' panel, brought a musician's ear to her critique. As a singer and member of the Spice Girls, she knows what live performance really entails. Her response was grounded in musicality. She complimented Bay's rhythm, stage control, and vocal confidence, but what stood out most was her comment that Lenny Kravitz would be proud. That wasn't just a throwaway line. It was a nod to the fact that Bay had honored the song's original energy while making it his own. Mel B recognized the difficulty of the piece and gave Bay credit for not just playing it but performing it in a way that respected its legacy. And then there was Simon Cowell, perhaps the most meaningful response of all. Simon is known for being brutally honest, especially with young contestants. But with Bay, his tone was different, warmer, even fatherly. Simon didn't just praise Bay's talent. He focused on the emotional impact of the performance and the joy it brought to Bay's parents. As a father himself, Simon was clearly touched by the image of a child doing what he loves with his family proudly supporting him. He said, "This is what it's all about," and that simple line captured the heart of Bay's appearance. For Simon, Bay wasn't just a contestant. He was a reminder of why talent shows matter, giving space for real passion to shine. All 4 judges gave Bay a resounding yes, sending him to the next round. But more importantly, they treated him with a level of seriousness rarely afforded to young acts. They didn't treat him like a novelty. They saw him as a performer with real skill, real heart, and real potential. And while they didn't hit the golden buzzer, their responses felt like more than approval. They felt like validation. That's something America's Got Talent audiences may not fully realize. Bey didn't just impress the judges. He earned their respect. And for a 10-year-old in a high-pressure setting like AGT, that means everything. Bey Melnick Virgolino's audition on America's Got Talent didn't just capture the judges' attention, it exploded across social media. While the show featured snippets of the audience's wild reaction and the judges' stunned faces, it didn't show what happened after the performance ended and the cameras stopped rolling. Behind the scenes, multiple producers approached Bey with high interest. According to sources close to the AGT production team, her audition received one of the fastest post-performance digital edit turnarounds in the season, uploaded online less than 24 hours after being taped, an unusual move that hints at how strongly the show believed in her viral potential. Offstage, Bey was swarmed by other contestants who recognized that her performance had shifted the atmosphere at the Pasadena Civic Auditorium. Contestants who had been confident suddenly felt a new pressure. Several producers were reportedly overheard calling her performance a season-defining moment. Meanwhile, backstage interviews with Bey were cut from the broadcast, which is not uncommon, but surprising given the audience reaction. According to one fan who was in the live audience that night, Bey's standing ovation lasted longer than the golden buzzer moments that usually steal the show. What AGT didn't show was that Bey's team, family, friends, and supporters had strategically prepared for the online moment. A few short clips were pre-cut and released to Instagram and TikTok just minutes after the show aired, with high-quality captions and hashtags. This is unusual for first-time contestants and revealed a deeper layer of preparation. Even though AGT painted her as a humble performer stepping into the spotlight, behind the scenes, there was a calculated strategy unfolding. The show also didn't mention the celebrity reactions she got in the following days. A few well-known musicians, including blues and rock guitarists with Grammy nominations, reposted her performance. Some referred to her as a Gen Z blues messiah, a label that had never been attached to any young contestant before. Though AGT didn't highlight this in any official content, Bey's post-audition success turned her from contestant to phenomenon. Lastly, producers did not include Bey's reaction to the online hate she quietly received. While most of the response was overwhelmingly positive, a few users criticized her for trying too hard or pretending to be something she's not. Bey reportedly stayed offline for a few days after the video went viral to protect her peace. The AGT edit didn't include this quiet resilience, but it speaks volumes about her character and the pressures of instant fame. When Bey Melnick Virgolino stepped onto the AGT stage, everything about her look felt effortless, but here's what the show didn't tell you. None of it was accidental. From her outfit to her hair to the way she walked on stage, every detail was part of a carefully crafted personal brand that Bey had been working on long before auditioning. She wore a blend of vintage and contemporary fashion, drawing clear inspiration from blues legends like Janis Joplin, mixed with Gen Z streetwear energy. This blend wasn't just about fashion, it was about signaling who she is to the audience. Bold, timeless, and culturally aware. The producers showed her as a girl with a unique vibe, but they didn't reveal that Bey had already built a visual identity for herself months in advance. Friends close to her say she had experimented with her stage look for almost a year, going through old soul and blues archives, watching live footage of classic performers, and even studying how lighting and angles can enhance mood and presence. Her choice of colors, patterns, and accessories created a visual that stood out instantly, something that AGT insiders say helps determine whether a contestant will make it to air. Producers know that a memorable image makes the edit, and Bey made sure she gave them exactly that. Interestingly, her eye contact with the judges, the small smirk before her first note, and the way she gripped the mic, all came from a mix of stagecraft training and self-filmed rehearsal videos. She had practiced hundreds of takes alone in her room, analyzing what expressions felt most natural and powerful. AGT didn't show that part of her preparation. To viewers, it looked raw and spontaneous, but it was refined instinct, not random chance. And then there was the voice. The show highlighted her tone and power, but not the technique. Bey blends a clean belt with a vintage rasp that isn't easy to master. She reportedly worked with a retired jazz coach online for months to develop that balance, making sure her voice would stand out on a show filled with powerhouse singers. So while America saw a bold newcomer discovering herself on stage, the truth is that Bey Melnick Virgolino came to AGT already knowing exactly who she was and what the world would remember. If you watched Bey's audition on TV or YouTube, you probably noticed how fast it all went. A short intro, a quick performance, a round of applause, and then boom, onto the next act. But what AGT didn't show you was that Bey Melnick actually got a standing ovation from the entire room. That's right. Asterisk, asterisk, not just the judges asterisk, asterisk, but the entire live audience got on their feet the moment she hit her final note. People backstage said the applause lasted almost a full minute, but the televised version trimmed it down to just a few seconds.
Why?
According to a former crew member who spoke anonymously online, the edit was shortened because producers didn't want to burn all the hype on her first performance. In TV production terms, it's called saving the moment. They want to build her up slowly, so that by the time she reaches semifinals or finals, there's still room to grow her storyline. What they didn't count on was that people in the live audience would start posting about it on social media. Within hours of the taping, tweets and Reddit threads started popping up, with people saying Bey's audition got one of the loudest crowd reactions of the season, louder than some golden buzzer moments. Fans were confused when they watched the aired version and didn't see the full reaction. And here's the part that really stings. 2 of the judges actually stood up before the final note ended asterisk asterisk, which almost never happens. Heidi and Sophia were reportedly the first on their feet, with Howie following soon after. Even Simon, who's usually the last to show emotion, gave her a long nod and stood up slowly once the song ended. But the edit was so tight, you barely saw that moment. It left a lot of fans asking, why would the show downplay one of the most authentic audience reactions of the season? Some believe it's part of a larger AGT tactic. Asterisk, asterisk, keeping breakout stars under the radar asterisk, asterisk until live shows when their popularity can drive viewership. But in Bey's case, that mystery only added to her buzz. Fans started asking, who is this girl they're trying to hide? And that question alone may have helped turn her into a fan favorite overnight.